On lap 50, he was 0.2 of a second quicker. On 49, the same. On 48, 0.25. And on 47, 1/10 of a second. So he's certainly gaining speed on Mark Skaife and gaining track position as well.
Notice that once Marcus was clear of the battle, he too was able to get into the 23. Safety car out. One of the shell cars has buried itself into the gravel.
Yeah, that's Max Wilson at turns 1 and 2, so he's missed it completely and gone straight ahead.
That will certainly...
Look at his windscreen. Sorry there, Neil. Something has collected Max Wilson and definitely...
He's got something in his eyes here. He's got glass in his eyes.
Yeah. So we're not really sure exactly what's happened there, but Max Wilson is in a fair bit of pain down at turn 1. You can see that something has shattered in the windscreen. He's asking for water from the crowd or from a marshal. The Brazilian, in his second year of V8 supercar racing, former Formula 1 test driver and champ car driver. He's got a cut hand there. So some damage not only to the race car, but the race driver. Max Wilson has had big trouble at turn 1. Watch this car come in from the right-hand side of your screen. He should park it effectively, so the damage has taken place well and truly before that. That was the end of the situation.
Very hard to understand what's occurred there.
So maybe something has shattered.
There's a huge hole at the top of the screen. If you look carefully where the signage is, you'll see
it's already happened, so something's hit him up the main straight, or possibly before.
Something's come off another car. I think that's one of the cars that's got the tear-off system on the windscreen as well, and there's what I told you.
Yeah, a rock or something has gone straight through the cab charge sign.
It'd be the little shards of glass that have gone back into his eyes, I imagine.
The question is what hit him. There's really not too many stones and rocks and various rubbish around this track, if you like, but the tractor pulls off Max Wilson's car at turn 1 and 2. That'll be the end of his day.
That is the flying bit of debris on the right in the middle of your screen there, on the right-hand side.
It looks like a bit of an under tray or perhaps a bit of a rear wing. It's too far away to fully identify, but whatever it was, it's come plummeting out of the heavens and clouted the windscreen on this car, caved it in up the top there, and Max has basically beached it on his own. And that'd be a pretty bizarre thing to have happen in the cockpit. And we are trying desperately at the moment to ascertain what it is that's hit this car.
Well, the way to do that, the best that we can do at the moment is to just shuffle back through the field and see which cars have pieces and bits missing off them. And we've managed to track down one. Now, look at Craig Baird's car there. They're pulling a piece off the left rear. Do they get it all off? That's the question. Yeah, we're not saying that this is exactly the problem, but...
and that's you can see where the bit is. It's in his hand. It's certainly not in the middle of the road. And the bit, it's very difficult to tell, but the stuff that I saw dropping on the road before looked bigger than that. It looked like a cord section from a wing, or it looked like it could have been an under tray or a component or part of the under tray. But it did. I reckon it had signage on it. So if anything, look, I don't know.
Fingerprints. Go down and get some fingerprints off it. But let's just have another look and see if we can really find out what's happened, because we can obviously see what the effect is. The cause, we're not really sure where it came from. So that's Paul Radicic going through. His car looks pretty clean and intact. Paul Dumbrell's got a bit of damage, but nothing to speak of. Then Dean Cantor goes through. Now, this is when we decided the problem just came to...
There's a bit that's just landed.
Yeah, so...
And there's another bit. And it's that's a very substantial bit of something. Very difficult to work out what it is. It's black and it's big, and it's enough to do pretty substantial screen damage.
The bottom line is that Max Wilson is out of this race. However it happened. Thankfully, he's okay. The windscreen of the Shell Helix, number 18, BA Falcon, is not. And it's an all HRT front row and even start. Skaife, Kelly, and Kelly's got the run, and on the outside, look at that. Bursting up the inside, one of the Toll HSV cars, but it's Kelly that takes the first corner.
Ingle in trouble, big trouble at turns 1 and 2. He's ricocheting off other cars. That'll do steering damage for sure. It's back the pack up, and the Team Kiwi entry of Paul Radicic was mixed up in that.
Hard luck for Radicic. Wrong place, wrong time, and the front left of that car is severely damaged. Look at them fighting for position early on. It's an important time to get track position. Stephen Johnson has been able to come through the mess there.
So naturally spread eagle the pack, all that mid-grid manoeuvring down towards turn 1.
Great start, Todd Kelly. He's got a few car lengths on his teammate, Mark Scaife. The Toll HSV team very well placed. So too Paul Dumbrell and both better electrical cars.
Jason Richards got away well into third already. Oh, gave Scaife a touch through turn 9.
Some body work came off the car too, whether it was on Richards or Scaife's car. Look how tight this is. Tander.
Radicic will come into his pit garage.
What a disappointment for Paul Radicic, qualifying in the top 10, having to come in the pits. Here's the Zinger replay. It's one of the better electrical cars that got into trouble and forced the Toll HSV car around onto the grass, and there's Ingle.
It was 3-2. It was a super cheap car. Team Kiwi and Russell Ingle all trying to thread their way through a piece of racetrack where really only one car belongs.
And Ingle was lucky to keep going, and the contact with Radicic straightened him back up.
It was Greg Murphy.
And Winterbottom is staying out of the mix as well. He knows he's not in the hunt up front, so he stays wide, gives them room. Ingle comes charging through. He's got Scaife on his hammer, and one of the Fujitsu cars is turned around, and Courtney is in his second major accident in as many days. And one of the super cheap cars, Cam McConville, or is it Greg Murphy? It is McConville, is smashed heavily. That was the car that came in contact with Courtney. Carnage here in Adelaide.
Yeah, okay.
Well, there was some lunacy there. This is going to take a number of laps to clean up. Massive damage to the Geraldwen car of Courtney, to the super cheap auto car of McConville. Let's hope the blokes are okay. I heard James' voice on the radio. He said he was okay. There's Paul Forgy. So there's the respective crews. So there were people that were inadvertently tripped
and
up.
Lowndes is in it. Lowndes is in it as well. McConville's on his feet. And that is a heavy hit. The damage bill has been huge this weekend at the Clipsal 500. Yesterday's race winner is out of the race, out of the car, and now young James Courtney.
Neil, I know you heard James Courtney speak, but on the scanner that I had as well, I'm not sure. We need to keep an eye on it, but I'm pretty sure he said he'd hurt his leg, so let's see if he can get out of the car or not.
I heard that too, Darryl. He is out of the car, I can tell you.
Gee, that car's not looking good. Look at the left side of the Courtney car. They worked all night to get that car back in shape. There's McConville. He's okay, but out. Lowndes. This always happens after the field compresses and you have the good guys mixed up with strugglers.
Drink and then eat if you please.
Ludo,
think of your bar and think of your
he's still talking to Whincup, thinking about anti-roll bar changes and trimming the car.
There's Johnny Pinozzo and the rest of the team at PWR Supercheap worried about their man. There's McConville. He's shaken up, and so too is James Courtney.
This is just a physically demanding motor race. If not for drivers, then for the crews that have to deal with the damage and turn these cars around and get them to the non-championship race at the Foster's Australian Grand Prix next weekend, and then in turn get the cars turned around for a flyaway race to New Zealand.
Well, I'd be keen to see a Zinger replay there because there was a Fujitsu car involved. It got broadsided, and from there on in, it was mayhem. And three big names there, McConville, Lowndes, and James Courtney. Greg, what do you have?
Lee in the super cheap auto bunker at the moment, and naturally Dave Ward and Bryce Seals and the guys that work on Cam McConville's car were disappointed, but the first point of concern is for Cameron. What Paul Wheel did you hear him say on the radio?
Basically, as soon as he hit, he got on the radio and said that he was hurt. And, yeah, obviously, look on camera now, he's walking around and he mustn't feel too bad. But, yeah, obviously pretty big impact and a lot of damage to the car. But that's only a minor point. It's, make sure he's right. But brand new car, he's running so well this weekend for the team in his first race. And, it's disappointing to actually have something like this happen. And, we've got to stop go for for a driving infringement in the pit lane, and which is questionable probably a little bit, but that's the way it goes, and we move on. I don't know what we'll have to assess the damage from this weekend, obviously for the GP next week, and maybe pull out the spare car and get this one finished, repaired for New Zealand, and see how we go, mate.
At least he's out of the car. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Anybody that was marginal on fuel will no longer be marginal on fuel. So whilst this has got our attention focused at the moment for those that are running, here's the replay. What can we learn here? Winterbottom was going slow.
Look, 3 trying to go through there.
It was because Winterbottom was running slowly, and then the Fujitsu car tried to make it across to the left when he was already being passed by one of the Tasman cars.
Now, that was busy.
Yeah, so this is the aftermath when everyone was trying to thread their way through. Is it 26? Is it Fernandez?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And 3 was Jason Richards. So Jason Richards was the Tasman car, so he was trying to thread his way through. Here we go. So Winterbottom's in the Ford Performance Racing car, Fernandez in the Fujitsu red and blue, and then Jason Richards tries to go through on the left. Jason Richards has touched the left side rear of Fernandez, turned him, and then that's when all the chaos has unfolded. Nowhere to go.
And look, Courtney goes into the Fujitsu car. He tags Lowndes. That turns Lowndes around. And James Courtney is at 90 degrees to Cameron McConville.
And that's where the big damage is done. That's, I wouldn't be surprised, and I said this yesterday and they recovered the cars, but with 2 monster hits on that brand new car in 2 days.
Obviously it went like that.
And 2 real winners in this is Rick Kelly, who's jumped to 5th, and Dave Reynolds has jumped to 7th. Great first lap for those guys.
The chopper view down at turn 14 brings you onto the main straight. Massive crowd in the grandstands. Barry Sheen pitch straight. Now up to the Senna Chicane. There's motorsport history everywhere here in Wincup. How did he control it? For all money, that was gone.
Oh my God. Twice in 200 metres. Too much throttle percentage, and you don't need to step too far wider than that or you'll end up in concrete here. That was close.
I can't reiterate enough how slippery and wild this is. That example, there's Tom Kelly gone, there's Steve Johnson gone, there's Jason Bargwanna gone. That's all at turn 4. But you saw Jamie Wincup in 4th gear bursting the wheel spin.
The pedal into 4. There's a big hit. I don't know whether I'm good to go or not.
It's taken an almighty chunk out of Jason Bargwanna's Team VOC car at the rear, so he's backed it in heavily there. Okay, restart time. Puts it in the hands of Shane Van Gisbergen in the acceleration zone. Look at them all spread out. They go in search of their own piece of real estate. They bump and grind and push and shove, and now they've got to come all back together again. Turn 1, Jason Bright, over and over and up and into the wall. Oh!
That started with Slade down the inside.
Okay. Yep, I'm trying to just give us a radio call if you're there, Brodie.
Huge damage to car 16 of Scott Pye again.
Yep. Check, please. You got me?
Chaz Mostert.
Team Cairo, Adele White, Wally Story in the foreground, engineer.
Andrew Edwards, Jason's engineer, is frantically trying to make radio contact. And damage to Lee Holdsworth. The front left, that's going to wobble its way around the circuit for car 4. So, and look on the inside of the cabin. Oh, gee, that's huge.
Just got to go steady now because you can easily run straight to the fence here.
And he was already carrying damage to the front left-hand corner of that car, and they were asking him to just take it easy. So Tander's got damage in the front right-hand corner there.
Well, that's how it started, yeah, because Slade was down the inside. That's how it started. So Slade was down the inside with Tander and Courtney, 3 abreast, team cars.
Van Gisbergen's come in, by the way.
Switch it off right now.
He's out of the car. Jason Bright, okay.
Scott Pye's out of the car as well.
Fantastic.
So this was the race leader. And this is going to be a significant delay to get that car cleared.
Bright, he was involved in a pretty big crash at the Bathurst 12 hour that he wound up in hospital for. He was checked out and okay, so that's 2 enormous shunts in the space of just a few weeks.
The hard thing when you're upside down in the belts is actually to be able to safely manoeuvre yourself out of the car. When the electronics in the car after a prescribed period don't sense any action from the crank trigger, the electronics in the car shut down. Here's the replay. This will give us some explanations.
We'll try to come in together. So it's Tim Slade leans on the Holden Racing Team car, which just sends Team BOC Commodore flipping into the air. This was what happened. They all fanned out and then they all came back in, and it was never going to work. Van Gisbergen and Kelly get through, and then watch car 47 just pushes across, and it doesn't take much for Garth Tander just to lean on the front left-hand side of Jason Bright.
Oof. It's that secondary impact that's the worry there with the wall, and it got right up on the top of the debris fence.
This is Lee Holdsworth's view. Oh, that was the big crunch that he... Okay, so he got hit by Scott Pye and a few others.
The contact actually started with the 2 Red Bull cars. They actually made contact on the way in there also. There's Slade down the inside. He makes contact with Tander. Tander makes contact with Bright. Totally out on the slide. Full opposite lock, so he's trying to steer it down. So Jason's trying to make sure it doesn't turn onto its roof. It then catches the curb, and the curb then trips it over. So as it gets to that point there, it was always going to turn over.
Must have picked up the front right wheel of Tander's car in order to be able to do that launch, and Tander's in the pit lane and has been there for a while now as well, so there'd be pretty fair old damage on that. It's this next whack with the wall. All this stuff looks spectacular, but at that stage, you know, it's not a crazy amount of damage. It's this next one where it hits the concrete wall. It is tyre protected and then gets into the debris fence, where they're going to have a big nightmare trying to resolve getting this car back in shape.
Well, fortunately, where the massive load has actually taken place in terms of the final part of the crash, Neil, it was actually against the tyres there. That's taken some load away from that. And
that's a tonne and a half. Yeah. That's a tonne and a half in the air there.
It's just being tossed around like a toy car.
Coulthard's the leader from Dale Wood. 2 cars yet to take their compulsory stop. Chaz Mostert is third from James Courtney, Jamie Whincup, Scotty McLaughlin, Scott Pye, Michael Caruso, Jason Bright, Craig Lowndes. That's your 10. And Garth just trying to figure out how not to be in an accident here, but he got nailed by Tim Blanchard anyway.
He moved it right out of the way, and Tim just had the wheel locked. It's the classic example of when the brake's locked, you can't steer the car. He had the wheel locked and just plunged straight into the back of Garth Tander's car there. A lot of damage on the back of car 2 and a lot of damage to the front of car 21.
They're probably going to have to bring that in.
They will do.
There's going to be a lot of
car boards and flags, safety car boards and flags.
So this is strange. So Garth's completely off the racing line on the grey, giving everybody passage down the inside. But then he already had 2 turning and 2 burning, Tim Blanchard, and he's just driven straight into him, actually off the racetrack.
Yeah, so if Garth's day wasn't going well,
dear,
it's certainly not now.
Here it is, replay in real time. And pretty significant damage then on the front right-hand corner for Tim Blanchard. So Coulthard would have come in while all that's gone on.
Drop the clutch. Neck and neck the run towards turn 1, and there is nothing in it. Feeney's got the inside line. Mostert argues the case on the outside and surfs over the top of the gravel and stays down the inside. This is going to be a full-blown argument all the way to turn 4, and Mostert comes out the other side in P1.
Absolutely superb performance across the curb down there at turn 2, and he was able to regain control of the car across the rocks and the dirt, come back out onto the road, and was sliding its way out of turn 3 to stay in front of Brock Feeney. Great job, Chaz Mostert.
Covers himself nicely at turn 7, and already Brock is trying to find a way down the inside. The squeeze is on. And they hunt backwards and forwards across the road on the run with cold tyres to turn 8. Mostert, Feeney, Brown, Randall. Remember how treacherous this part of the racetrack is before everything's up to temperate pressure. Brown having a look on his teammate here. There is nothing under brakes into 9.
How committed was Mostert turning into turn 8 just then on the opening lap? Man, he made 2 or 3 car lengths on Brock Feeney. When he lobbed it at the corner, there was no margin on the exit. He did a great job.
He had to, because both the bulls behind were hungry. They know how valuable it is to pounce in the early laps and try and capitalise while they can. Randall into 4th position, Brodie Kostecki into 5th. Then it's Wood up 1 spot from Di Pasquale. Congestion at the back of the pack, nose to tail contact there. Fullwood rubbing the rear bumper of Cam Hill's car. Mostert starts the first of the flying laps, and he got a curb strike. So did Kostecki.
And Chaz won't be able to complain about all those rocks because he put them out there.
That's right. Who did that? He's got 0.3 of a second over Brock Feeney, and the pressure's on here. Full-blown sprint racing through the right-hander at turn 6.